The ARCA Racing Series is known for its diverse set of racetracks. From the 7/8 mile monster of Iowa Speedway
back around here and looks for that checkered flag, and he's going to do it.
To the historic High Bank half mile of Winchester.
The number 28, Kyle Benjamin, with a great run here.
To the slick, unforgiving race surface of Springfield.
Side of Tyler Dimple. Oh, and a big hit there. Oh, wow.
Comes a track unlike all the rest. Road America is a twisting 4-mile road course that will yet again challenge drivers to adapt to another unique type of track. From Plymouth, Wisconsin, this is the ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards.
Welcome to the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards as we go road racing here for the first time this year. We're at Road America here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Can't wait to get things started. The 65th season for the ARCA Racing Series. 20 events here on the season, 13 states and 18 tracks, but only one of them is a road course. Let's show you this place. It is spectacular.
It is absolutely spectacular, and here's where we are, about 58 miles north of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This place incorporated back in the late 1800s, and of course it's best known for hosting road races on public roads. That's how they get it done here in Elkhart Lake.
A very historic track, over 4 miles long, 14 turns. This place opened in 1955, but our first race here with the ARCA Racing Series happened just a couple of years ago in 2013. It will be drastically different. Something else we need to make you aware of is this will be the final event of the Bill France 4 Crown Championship. So we will crown a champion here at the end of the day.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to come down to Austin Terrio or Sheldon Creed for the Bill France 4 Crown. Let's take a look at some of our race information. Of course, this is stop number 15 of 20 with the ARCA Racing Series. General Tire Pole Award was rained out, so they will line up based on their fastest practice times. Good field of cars here, and of course, as you mentioned, 2013, the only time we visited Road America, and Chris Buescher was the winner back in 2013.
Well, it never seems to fail when you go road course racing. You also race in the rain, and invariably it seems like Mother Nature will play you right in the middle. Maybe it's raining, maybe it's not. 64 degrees here. Humidity is high as well. They're going to be allowed 6 slicks here, but everybody's going to start off, well, at least for the most part, looks like almost everybody is going to be on wets here. Our pole sitter is Austin Cindric. That's based on combined practice times as qualifying was rained out. Austin Cindric has been on a roll as well because he also qualified on the pole here in the Xfinity Series as well. And speaking of Austin Cindric and our number 1 qualifier, well, let's go down to Jim Trader, the third member of our team. Who's with him?
Austin, you've had a fast car all weekend. You've got the pole based on practice speeds. Your thoughts right as you climb in?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun race. Hopefully the weather holds off, or hopefully it starts pouring, one of the two. It's tough to have mixed conditions sometimes on road courses, but I think the majority of the field's starting on wets, and you got to pit before lap 15. So hopefully we can get this Cunningham Menards forward in victory lane. Have a little fun today.
He is a well-rounded racer at this point for sure and has a lot of seat time on the road courses. Here's a look at the practice times, and Austin Cindric, as you can see, with the best of the group.
Yeah, and some road race veterans, if you will. The ringers coming in. You see Matt Tiff there, Noah Gregson, Cole Custer. How about P.J. Jones filling in for A.J. Fike? He'll be in the number 27 car, but Matt Tiff very fast this weekend as well. The NASCAR Xfinity driver trying to get an ARCA win here in Road America, and he is down with our Jim Trado.
Well, Matt, it's a good sound. The engine's fired on the number 28 machine. You're sitting second on the grid from practice speeds. What are they working on now right before the race?
Well, we had an engine wire issue, so, you know, Jim, when we didn't have it fired, you come with the camera, we got it fired. So why don't you just hop in the car? Well, you know, we seem to have some good luck with you around here. So, but I mean, we've had a really good car all day yesterday. So whether it's dry or wet, we're going to have a good piece. It's just, I don't know what it's going to be at this point.
Let's take a look at our Scott Rookie of the Year challenge points here. And up front will be Gus Dean. He's been on a great roll. Unfortunately, just finished outside of the top 10 at our last event at Springfield. But Brett Holmes, he's been battling with him all year long. And Riley Herbst currently third in rookie points, just 22 points back.
Yeah, Riley Herbst, the only one of those top three who has won so far this year. Got the big win at Pocono earlier this year, and he's been fast as of late as well. So any one of these guys will have a shot today at Road America, though. They've never raced on a road course. So it's going to be interesting to watch these road course rookies, these ARCA rookies, try and get it done here at Road America.
Boy, solid effort there for Gus Dean. 11 top 10 finishes in the first 14 events. That is consistent. Well, another guy that's been deathly consistent is our national points leader, Austin Theriault.
Literally strapping in your race car, pointing to Austin Theriault with some question marks to answer of your own. You guys went through an engine change and haven't been on the track since yesterday. What are your thoughts about the start of this race, Austin?
Well, there's a lot of unknowns for a lot of people here. This is my first race on wet conditions, possibly, and track's a little bit. It's not too bad as far as it being totally wet and standing puddles of water, but certainly on these tires, it'll be a new experience for me, and I think we're just going to go out there and work up to it, and if we can get a couple easy spots at the beginning of the race and just ride, make a decision on when to pit, but. Today's about learning. I mean, we've had some pretty challenging weekend as far as changing the motor and stuff and a lack of practice time, but pretty confident in what I've learned so far, and car's pretty decent, so I think we'll be okay.
They've been okay all year for sure. So consistent as we take a look at the national points, and Theriault with a 225-point gap over Dalton Sargent. We should tell you he's leading the Bill France 4 Crown as well. He could quite possibly win that challenge at the end of the day. Also leading in the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge, the GT Super Speedway Challenge, and the Volvo Laps Completed. Amazing stuff. How about Dalton Sargent, though? He's a guy with some road racing experience and looking forward to this one.
Dalton, this is a road course race. You are a road course ace from your prior history. What are your thoughts and anticipations about today's event?
Well, right now it seems like it's going to be pretty crazy. You know, everybody's trying to decide whether or not it's going to rain or if it's going to, guys are going to come in right away and try to put slick tires on. So I'm excited either way. I was actually kind of hoping it was going to rain, but right now it seems like it might go dry. But, I haven't raced in the rain in a couple years, but it should be something that's fun, especially in these real heavy stock cars.
Everybody's going to be on their toes here the first couple of laps. Hope you stay with us here at the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, as we'll turn them loose on our road course event here for 2017.
The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards is brought to you by Scott Shop Towels. Trade up to towels made for the garage. General Tire. Anywhere is possible. Lucas Oil. Made in America. Sold to the world.
And welcome back to the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards here at the Road America 100. We're going to show you our starting grid. Keep in mind the ARCA Series made its road course debut at the now defunct Meadowdale Raceway road course in Carpentersville, Illinois back in 1958. Austin Cindric is going to lead him to the stripe here in 2017, right alongside Matt Tift. Then it's Noah Gregson and Dalton Sargent in row number 2. We go back to row number 3 and find Cole Custer and P.J. Jones filling in for A.J. Fike. And then in row 4, Michael Womack making his ARCA debut and Shane Lee.
Inside row number 5, in the 9th position, will be the Rookie of the Year contender Riley Herbst. In the Joe Gibbs Racing number 18, Brian Wong, another road racing veteran there to the outside in the 41. And our points leader, Austin Theriault, lining up alongside Austin Wayne Self in row number 6. Brett Holmes, Rookie of the Year contender in the 23, looking for win number 1 this year, as well as Gus Dean to the outside. Then you go back to row number 8, A.J. Hendrickson in the 75 car. He'll be alongside Natalie Decker for Venturini.
In row number 9, it'll be the 55 of Bo Lamastus alongside Ricky Sanders. Then Bobby Gerhardt, the ace from Daytona, trying his road racing shoes on. Ed Pompo alongside. And how about Thomas Prater with 100 ARCA starts? He'll start off alongside Dick Karth in row 11.
Mike Basham, the veteran, in row 12 alongside the number 3 of Rick Tackman, who will start 24th. Mark Minier back inside row 13, and Con Nicolopoulos will start 26th. In our 14th and final row, the veteran Brad Smith and Eric Caudell will round out your field.
Well, Jim Trado has been busy trying to stay dry and keep up with all the action as well. Let's get it down to him for some final thoughts.
Guys, one thing to worry about here is the ever-changing weather conditions. The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards teams were told you're starting the race on grooved wet tires. That's a big factor because as the race is about to begin, these teams, including pole sitter Austin Cindric's car and his Team Penske team, they already have a set of slick tires on pit wall ready to change for their driver as soon as possible. So while they're all told to start the race on grooved tires, only 2 laps or so in dry conditions will these grooved tires on these race cars be at maximum performance. Then the degradation, the heat, the chunking will all take place, and it'll be a big deal for these teams.
Thanks a lot, Jim. So as we heard the drivers say, there is a mandated pit stop by lap 15. Total distance here, just 25 laps to get to that 100 miles. And then, of course, the wet versus slick tires. They are all starting on the wets. They have 4 more in the box. If they choose to go to slicks, they have 6 of those in the box.
And, of course, keeping pace and finding traction out there, racing on the wets, different lines on the racetrack, different cars set up. Normally they go softer. As you see, Brett Holmes getting a little loose there in that number 23 as you go on board with Natalie Decker. And there is Holmes, who is nosed into the guardrail.
What a shame. Yeah, man. I mean, 700 horsepower of these things, and those wet tires need to get some heat in them as well. A little blip of the throttle can turn you sideways quickly. Taking a look at the front row there, that is Dalton Sargent, not Matt Tifft on the front row. And we're hearing that Tifft was forced to start back in 24th as they had an issue, a wire harness issue, an impound. So they've been forced to start in the back. Austin Cindric ready to step on the throttle here at the start-finish line as they head up the hill. This first lap will be intense as these guys try to get it figured out. The green flag flies, and Austin, with a nice lead there, will be able to pick the inside or outside. You saw in the pit strategies running offline a little bit is the thing to do, and P.J. Jones is going to carry a lot of speed through turn 1. It's a very fast turn. It's a very wide track right there with some runoff, and you can see how dry that track is right there. But with the wets on, it's a softer compound. You get some grip quickly, and you can run completely offline.
Yeah, P.J. Jones, just a great move there in turn number 1. His first career ARCA race. He's run everything from Cup to off-road trucks. Definitely a road racing veteran, kart, IndyCar starts. He's raced here before, just never with ARCA.
Coming down into turn number 5, probably the hardest braking zone on the track. A slower 90-degree left-hand turn, but they approach it at the highest speeds on this track.
Yeah, and kind of a blind entrance here to turn number 6 underneath the bridge there, and you can see as we go on board with Cindric using up this entire racetrack.
Yeah, high-speed right-hander here. That is turn number 7, and they'll sail up to a left-hander here, number 8, turn 8. And again, pretty much a 90-degree left-hand turn here, back hard on the brakes. And then they go into the carousel. And the carousel is where they have to show some patience. You've got to wait on the car to turn. You can drive the front tires right off of it if you're not careful. You just have to wait.
And we just saw Dalton Sargent get back around P.J. Jones to retake second spot. Jones now taking a look now to the right side as we go on board with Sargent.
This is a kink, a very high-speed turn. They'll try to stand on that thing, maybe run it flat out if they can get on the slicks and this track dries out. But it is a sketchy turn, to say the least, and then they charge hard down into the famous Canada Corner, which is a hard right-hander.
Yeah, then they head down into Thunder Valley. But you mentioned the kink there. It looks like a simple part of the racetrack, but these drivers will struggle through that kink there on the, what we may call the back straightaway here at Road America. Back on board with Sargent.
You can see the 41 there. That was Brian Wong completely sideways trying to hang on to it there. As we look out of the windshield at P.J. Jones, and you were talking about before, so much experience, and at the last minute, Don Fike, AJ's father, decided that they wanted to put PJ in the car. So Dan Glau's crew chief for that team got it all set up, and here we go. It looks like it's paying dividends already. The 78 car right there with him as well. Cole Custer, don't count him out. That kid is extremely talented. Another NASCAR Xfinity standout, doing an incredible job. Currently 6th in the points. Qualified 12th here in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, he ran 5th back in 2015 with ARCA at New Jersey Motorsports Park, a road course that they've run a lot at in the recent years, as Riley Herbst on the brakes pretty hard there. Noah Gregson there behind him in the 15 car. Go on board now with Gregson currently running in 6th.
Jeff McClure on the box for him. 7th start with the ARCA Series and 4th this year. Finished 9th at Pocono. Won the 2014 Young Lion Road Course Championship, so he is no stranger here to turning left and right.
Well, it's going to be interesting when these guys do get an opportunity to pit, if they're going to have to do it under green, if they're going to catch a caution, because going from a wet setup typically is a softer suspension setup, and they don't have a lot of time in the pits if they are kind of full soft, full-on wet setup, knowing that they're going to put slicks on here if it doesn't rain.
Well, the General Tire wet tires are extremely good, but there's no wet tire out there that can survive a dry track, and this one definitely has a lot of dry spots on it. And if you can't keep the heat out of those things, as Jim was talking about, they're going to chunk up quickly. They'll blister, they'll tear the lugs right off of them. So they'll have to come in and get some slicks. And I've got to tell you, man, this track looks like it's good enough for slicks right now. P.J. Jones already sticking his nose underneath Cindric right there, taking a look.
Yeah, he got in front of Sargent. Sargent retook 2nd. Now here is P.J. Jones back in front of that 77. Letting these guys know that he came to play. I thought it was kind of funny. He posted a picture on social media. They asked him in the ARCA Racing Series, you have to fill out the paperwork and put down kind of your racing references, and he wrote A.J. Foyt, Parnelli Jones, and Dan Gurney. Those are my 3 racing references. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, boom, qualified just like that. I think you're good to go. So Austin Cindric trying to hold off the hungry dogs here. P.J. Jones right behind him. Stay with us. We'll be back to Elkhart Lake with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards in just a moment. Looking out of the windshield of Dalton Sargent's car here with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. The Road America 100 is what we're covering here today. And P.J. Jones taking a look at the inside right there. As they come through that last turn, you can carry a lot of speed. And Austin decided to keep all 4 on the track. There's a lot of runoff there as well as you look back up the track, but they're going to drag race down to turn 1, and PJ has some help from Dalton Sargent in the draft.
Yeah, PJ will lead that lap, so right now a very fast number 27, and here comes Sargent as they go 3 wide down into 1.
They can't go 3 wide here, but they can go side by side for sure in this turn, and Sargent pushes his way right up through there. Great battle to turn 1.
Sargent was 3rd last year at New Jersey Motorsports Park with the ARCA Racing Series, finds himself out in front here, and this is what he's going to have to do if he wants to have a shot to win this championship, is win every single race to close out the year. On board again with Cindric, who went from 1st back to 3rd.
Yeah, keep in mind as you watch these guys, Sargent has a lot of road racing experience. In fact, over in Europe, drove some open-wheel cars for a while now. Of course, those are drastically different than what they're driving here in terms of weight and downforce. But right now, it certainly knows how to turn right and left. You take a look at our points leader, and that was Riley Herbst. You heard the tires squealing there as he loops it around here in the very difficult turn 5 under hard braking.
Yeah, right in front of Brian Wong in the 41. We also saw Austin Theriault there as well. Here's another look at what happened to Herbst.
Yeah, we'll go on board here and a slow-mo look at this. Brake bias is also critical here. A little too much rear brake in these things, and that's exactly what they'll do. You lock up the backs here on this wet track or mildly wet track, and it'll loop you around in a moment's notice. Back up to the front as you take a look at the 99 car. He is currently in 3rd place, so Austin falling back a bit, but boy, talk about a well-rounded platform that Austin Cindric has now. There's really not much he hasn't raced at this point in his young career.
Yeah, Global Rallycross Lights, he's won there. Continental Tire, won there. He's won in ARCA, Kentucky last year on the oval. He's going to certainly be a player here today. We also see Shane Lee as we go on board with the Cunningham Motorsports, a big-time Ford, number 22, currently run 12th. Let's get it back down to Jim.
As expected, pit stops are coming in early already, guys. Austin Wayne Self, the first taker on pit road. He runs full-time in the NASCAR Truck Series. He's racing a road course race right soon. So Austin Wayne Self, experienced here at the small track in karting. Even in the wet, he's got experience, but they wanted to get dry tires on his number 33 AM Technical Solutions machine as soon as possible. His teammate, Gus Dean, is in the thick of this, of the points in that 32 Gree Toyota. We'll see when he comes to pit road. I'm expecting this lapper next.
Yeah, the kids that have come out of karting have so much experience as you watch Gus Dean pull down onto pit road. Of course, driving for Wintron Racing and Kevin Sawinski, and we talked about the 11 top 10s that he's had coming into this event and leading in our Scott Rookie Challenge points.
Yeah, and for Dean to prepare for this road course race, he reunited with Pro Cup Series mentor A.J. Frank, tested at a local road course near his hometown of Bluffton, South Carolina. Got up to speed pretty quick. Let's see how they do here in the first pit stop.
Slicks in hand, so this track does appear to be plenty dry enough to put on the slicks. You'll need to stay in line for sure until you get some good heat in them before you get off just a little bit. Tift spins the tires just a bit in the back of that MDM Toyota. The Matthew Miller team, and Marty Lindley on the box there for him. Such a talented crew chief. As you watch this battle continue out here on the track, Cindric in the number 99 car, Cole Custer in the 78 car, and the 88 of Michael Womack just behind him there as they get hard on the brakes and go into the left-hander. Ew! And Cindric a little bit wide there.
Yeah, Custer trying to take advantage. He'll try and bring his teammate from Mason Mitchell Motorsports, the 88, making his ARCA debut, Michael Womack, as you go on board with Custer. Cindric able to get back in front.
Yeah, he was able to keep that low line through the carousel. That was critical. All but impossible to pass around the outside here in the carousel. Here is the kink. And you can see those cars just moving around. It sounded like Cole had to breathe it just a little bit. And again, hard on the brakes here into the right-hander. That is Canada corner. And back on the throttle hard.
Yeah, back down through Thunder Valley, turn 13. And, of course, the hard right-hander. The final turn here at Road America, turn 14. Then head back up the hill a little bit of elevation change to the start-finish line. Michael Womack there for Mason Mitchell. Of course, Mason Mitchell ran Road America with the ARCA Racing Series in 2013, finished 14th. Now it looks like Womack going to put a move on Cindric. Both the Triple M cars get by.
And you've got to think that the tires are just going away on Cindric for whatever reason. They're choosing to leave him out there and just deal with it for now. Womack making his debut, as we talked about before here, with the ARCA Racing Series, but Cindric going back to 6th place now after starting off on the pole.
Yeah, and Womack a regular with the Lucas Oil Modified Series out west, so we get the opportunity to see that youngster race a lot in the modified ranks on the West Coast, and right now he'll chase his teammate.
Yeah, just 17 years old, started racing in karts and then moved his way up into the legend cars before transitioning to the modifieds with the Lucas Oil Racing Series. So far in 17, he's earned 1 top 5. As you take a look at Riley Herbst pulling back out there, he's also earned a couple of top 10s as well with the series. And Riley Herbst, who was leading in that Bill France 4 Crown coming into Springfield, had a very tough Springfield race and came in here 3rd in the points for that particular championship. Sheldon Creed 2nd in those points. He's not here. So Austin Terrio set up to take that one. As you take a look at that Joe Gibbs team working their magic there, putting 4 fresh slicks, courtesy of General Tire on that number 18 NOS sponsored machine. And there's a look at our national points leader and the guy who's going to have the best shot at winning that Bill France 4 Crown Championship. And just to help you out, what that means is it's 1 short track. That was from Nashville. It's 1 super speedway. That was Pocono. 1 dirt track. That was Springfield. And this road course here, that is the Bill France 4 Crown Championship.
Yeah, and Austin Terrio has averaged a finish of 5th so far in those first 3 events. Not picking up a win, but been pretty good. Leads those points, trying to get that championship, if you will, within a championship as we go on board with the number 41 of Brian Wong. Now, Wong has raced with the ARCA Racing Series 3 times before, all at New Jersey Motorsports Park, all for Venturini Motorsports. Finished 2nd back in 2014, and he's a veteran of ALMS in the Porsche GT3 category, and he's also set to run for this team, MDM Motorsports, in the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park event with the Camping World Truck Series.
And, of course, the ALMS and Grand Am Series have now combined to become EMSA as we watch Cindric pull in there, and Wong will remain out there. But, yeah, Wong, a seasoned road race driver up on the podium 3 times with the former ALMS series. And Austin Cindric, no doubt, is going to be happy to have some 4 fresh General tires on there. Let's get it back down to Jim Trado with more from pit road. Jim?
Our pole sitter, Austin Cindric, has now come to pit road. 1 lap ago, he asked his crew chief, Brian Wilson, when do I pit? Is it this lap? He said, no, wait 1 more. The Menards Ford getting 4 slick General tire radials. The wet tires coming off. The driver came in from 6th position. They now believe, as well as several other drivers and teams, they can go the distance by pitting here on lap 6. Lap 6 to the end, they feel they'll have enough fuel, and their mandatory pit stop has been taken care of. Now it's a matter of having enough fuel. Earlier, when teams pitted, they were telling their drivers leaving pit road to save fuel. Not the word here for Cindric. He can go full out to the finish now, pitting at lap 6 in the 99.
And just to recap a little bit of that, a key word in there, or key words, was a name, Brian Wilson. Crew chief for Brad Keselowski and Cup, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney in the Xfinity Series. Yeah, he's got some pretty good talent up there on the box. I'd probably listen to what Brian has to say. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. And the rain coming down here at the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, and the Road America 100, almost half the field already in to pick up slicks, and then it opens up again on these guys. This will certainly put them to the test as you take a look at the big-time sponsored Cunningham entry of Dalton Sargent, still slinging it around like it is bone dry out there.
Yeah, it's certainly awesome to listen to him get on the gas and put 700 horsepower to the ground, or at least as much as he can. Finds himself out in front. Car's pretty good here today. When we talk about Dalton Sargent, we mentioned it earlier, Ken, he has to pretty much win out, and we have to maybe see some issues for Austin Theriault. It's been so consistent to this point. If you take a look at Austin Theriault, your points leader to the left, and Dalton Sargent to the right. Their average finish over the first 14 events, 3.71 for Theriault, 7.07 for Dalton Sargent. Of course, they each have 3 wins apiece, but it really comes down to Sargent at Talladega finishing 27th, and most recently, 2 races ago, he finished 16th at Winchester. Of course, Austin Theriault has never finished outside the top 10 in the ARCA Racing Series.
And look at the front of that car, perched up, coming down the straightaway, and then sets the nose down, seals it off. The 23 car, look at the damage on the right front. That is Brett Holmes, who we saw spin out there on the pace lap. And there's a look at P.J. Jones, currently in 2nd place behind Dalton Sargent. Dalton with a lot of room, and you can see P.J. just kind of floated through turn number 1 there.
Yeah, he's got a lot of experience at this racetrack. As you see Noah Gragson now making his way down the pit lane. Everyone coming in to get those slicks. For more info, let's get back down to Jim.
Crew chief Jeff McClure was in discussion what kind of tires to put on, because there is precipitation, guys. It's raining here on the front stretch. I was also scanning other teams. They're saying it's raining harder on the back stretch than it has all race long. The decision for Jeff McClure and this young man out of Las Vegas, Noah Gragson, going with slick tires. Slick tires for Noah Gragson on his perhaps only pit stop.
Yeah, and looking at that body, that looks like a steel body car to me, where the composite cars have been so dominant this year, but you can see the long swooping nose on that is certainly a good indicator that's a steel body car for the number 15.
Yeah, regular with the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series this year, Noah Gragson. Great to have him back with the ARCA Racing Series. Quick pit stop, and that should be it. Most of these guys going to try and do it on 1 pit stop unless they have issues with the car. They'll have enough fuel to make it from here on out.
You can see him being very careful there as he gets some heat in those tires on his outlap. Charging down, that is turn number 4, soft right-hander. We're setting up for the big braking zone for turn number 5 right here, where you see Austin Cindric, and then also the number 55 car this weekend being campaigned by Bo Lamastus.
Yeah, Cindric now trying to race his way back up to the front, currently sits in 6th. You can see him, as we talked about earlier, you have to use a lot of this racetrack. If you don't use it all up on entry, you don't use it all up on exit, that will certainly hurt you for the next corner.
Yeah, and you want to put as little wheel as possible in it, especially on a wet track like this. Let me tell you something. Words cannot explain the talent that it takes to come out here and the nerve that it takes to come out here, drive a car hard when you know you're on slicks and you see water hitting the windshield. It is just a nerve-wracking day for these drivers. And they have incredible confidence in themselves, their ability, and of course, the talent that they have to save a car when it gets a little loose. Nice and smooth right through there.
Yeah, then toss in drivers that have never been on a road course before, probably never turned right in a race car before ever, other than to head to the pits. Now they're being asked to do it 10 times here at Road America.
And there's a good look at the difference, a composite body in the front and then a steel body in the back there. That is a composite red Toyota Camry. And then you can see for Cole Custer, he's in a steel body car.
Yeah, that 33 for Wintron Racing, Austin Wayne Self. He ran 7th in 2015 at New Jersey Motorsports Park with the ARCA Racing Series. There's Michael Womack there in that 88 car. For Mason Mitchell Motorsports, only 3 drivers raced in 2013 that are here today. A.J. Hendrickson, Thomas Prater, and Bo Lamastis. Oh, and it looks like Mark Munier in the 06 stopping on race course.
Trying to get it going here one more time, all the way out there to the tire wall, but I don't see any damage on the car. He might have got lucky there. Looks like something maybe dragging down on the bottom. But the car looks like it might be okay, so he fires it back up, gets back out on course. We'll see if they decide to throw a caution or not. There's a look at your top 5. We'll be right back with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards in just a moment. Fans having a great time out here on a wet day of the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Road America 100. We're at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, just a little bit north of Milwaukee. Just one of those days where it is cloudy, spitting and stopping, and the drivers have been put to the test here. Crew chiefs, you know, Rob and I, we were talking about this during break. The setup on the cars are critical. Of course, you set up a car for a wet race and completely different for a dry race, and it makes it a tough call here for the crew chiefs as well. You'll set these things up a little bit looser for a wet race, so the car will roll over and transfer a little more weight, a little more stiffer on a dry track. So they might have picked something in the middle, but boy, it just makes for a very difficult day for everybody.
Yeah, and from these teams coming from oval track racing, I mean, you want a very, very neutral race car as far as cross weight and suspension that compared to what you have in oval track racing. The camber's different on the front end as well. So if you've never raced road course, you're coming out to something you've never done in a setup that you've never had before. So like you said earlier, it's very impressive to watch these guys get around this racetrack. Of course, you talk about Austin Cindric, who's pretty much done this his entire life.
Yeah, the 28 car of Matt Tift right in front of him, and he's been given a green light, Austin Cindric has, to race that thing hard all the way to the end. Yeah, you're exactly right. So much experience as we go on board with Dalton Sargent, who is coming into the pits here. The big-time sponsored Cunningham entry. And we'll get it down to Jim Trado to find out what they decide to do here with the 77 car.
And Dalton Sargent in the 77 big-time Ford comes to pit road. The decision is made. Let's bring you down. We'll put you on 4 slick General tires. Chassis adjustment in the track bar and wedge to keep this 20-year-old racer happy. Sargent has the most road racing experience of the full-time drivers in the series. Adjustment made, fuel is in, and Sargent down and away trying to gain valuable points in the championship on Austin Theriault making his road racing debut.
Boy, and how about these tires from General Tire, the wets that they gave them, that he just ran for 9 laps out here on a track that is arguably dry for the most part in the line. That is very hard on those wet tires. But those tires from GT have done a fabulous job out here for Dalton Sargent. Right back in the mix he goes, a little bit deeper. You take a look at the 33 car, the 18 car of Riley Herbst as well. Shane Lee now, the other Cunningham entry on pit road. Let's get it back down to Jim.
Here we are, just checked in with the crew on the number 22 big time Ford. Crew Chief Paul Andrews made the decision to go to slick tires, but also during the stop, they took a little extra time on all 4 corners to reach in and adjust the shocks. They thought they'd have to do that because going from wet tires to dry tires, they wanted to make sure the dry tire setup is what they had, so they made a shock adjustment on all 4 corners for Shane Lee's Big Time Ford.
Yeah, I mean, given time, they'd be making sway bar adjustments, a number of other things as well, but you grab and do what you can to stiffen that thing up a little bit here if they're going to use the slicks. They feel like that track has got enough grip. On board with Riley Herbst as they sail down underneath, and Riley Herbst, who again has been so solid, the young gun coming out here, has been a threat all year long. Of course, one of the best teams in all of motorsports there with the Joe Gibbs entry.
Oh, and Herbst off the course just a little bit as he works through the carousel. Kind of missed the entry there to turn 9.
And then closes that gap quickly. Now has a bit of a run. Can he make it happen? As he looks at Austin Wayne Self, takes a look on the outside. Austin, the 2014 Scott Rookie of the Year, driving for Cunningham at the time. Pulls right up alongside on the inside, then puts a fender on him as they scrap here mid-race. Riley not afraid to rub, that's for sure, man. They go through that left-hander and head to the final turn.
Yeah, Herbst looking outside, looking inside. He's got Womack right behind him to pounce if he makes a mistake. Nice move here as he gets to the inside, down the front straightaway.
Yeah, the car really hooked up right there, and you can carry a lot of speed through that final turn. They charge up here to the stripe. That's a look at the start-finish line. The flag stand just above them there. And side by side they go. Riley is going to get the nod here, and then trying to follow Riley through is the 88 car as well. Michael Womack, we keep talking about him making his debut here and coming out of that modified series, but he's having a great run as Brian Wong looks like he has lost power and fires it back up.
Yeah, just in and out of the pits and then died real quick, got it fired back up, so he'll head back out for MDM. But yeah, Austin Cindric now back out front in that number 99. He led the first lap, took it back over on lap number 9. Now finds himself out in front looking for his second career ARCA Racing Series win.
99 car, so good, so talented. And of course, the son of Tim Cindric, right-hand man to Roger Penske as we go on board here with Austin.
Yeah, remember, he started on the pole at Lucas Oil Raceway, led 53 laps, then had an electrical issue, finished back in 23rd, but a very fast race car back in Indiana, and once again a fast one here today at Road America.
And you talked about the win that he earned at Kentucky 2016. He's also finished as high as 6th in the GTD class at the Glen, Watkins Glen, driving for Lexus at the time.
There's that black number 28 of Matt Tifft right behind him. Remember, Tifft had to go to the tail of the field. He came in early to get slicks, a lot earlier, a couple laps earlier than the rest of the field, so on a little bit of a different strategy for the 28.
Carrying so much speed up this straightaway. An incredibly long straightaway as well. Bit more than a half a mile on the throttle. They sail up through 1, 2, and into 3. There's a look at your top 5. It has been ever-changing here with 11 of 25 complete. We'll be right back. And we welcome you back to the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Road America 100 at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, on board with one of the Fords here and sailing down in here to this right-hander. Stay on the gas and charge right on through there. It is very, very impressive what these guys are capable of doing. And girls, of course, Natalie Decker in this field as well. And a brand new paint job on her car representing the champions and big racing names that come out of the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, she plans to race the ARCA Racing Series finale at Kansas Speedway, so we'll get to see Natalie Decker once again. Great young talent, had a good run most recently at Pocono where she finished 10th for Venturini.
And there's a look at the 99 car we were on board with. Right behind him, the 28 car of Matt Tifft, so talented as well. Father competed in dirt, and Matt's worked with some of the best on the dirt. Josh Richards, Dale McDowell, and Super Lates. 13 ran K&N East Series with Wintron. 21 starts over the ARCA Series, 4 top 3s and 11 top 5s. young man at 21 years old has done a lot. And probably the most impressive part is in 2016, Matt was diagnosed with a low-grade brain tumor and had a remarkable recovery. And we are so happy he's back out here racing with us once again. As a matter of fact, came back in September of 2016 and now is a spokesperson for the American Brain Tumor Association, promoting awareness and recovery options. What a wonderful young man he is. Woo! Big ride right there.
Austin Cindric. Yeah, give me the slicks, give me a dry track. I'm going to put the hammer down as we go back to that battle for fourth. Here's our points contenders. Austin Theriault in that 52 for Ken Schrader. She go on board with Dalton Sargent right behind him.
And Noah Gregson driving the 15 car for Bill Venturini. Let's get it down to Jim Trado because Noah having a tough day here is on pit road.
Well, Noah Gregson started third and switched Toyota, but they came down pit road with an engine issue. They thought it might have been fuel related. It is. A fuel line has come loose under the hood, gushing fuel as he came to pit road and lifted the hood on his Venturini Motorsports Toyota. Steering wheel's off for Noah Gregson as crew chief Jeff McClure looks things over. Very disappointing day for McClure.
Yeah, no question. And for Noah, I'm sure he's very upset. The Kyle Busch Motorsports driver, currently 9th in NASCAR Camping World Truck Series points with a couple of top fives along the way. But his day is done here early. On board with Matt Tifft once again.
Right on the back bumper of leader Austin Cindric.
You know, something we haven't talked about here is the ability to downshift these cars. They shift upwards of 20 times a lap. And these guys don't have a no-lift shift or a paddle shifter on it like a lot of the modern-day sports cars. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. It's Ed Pompa out of Boston Spa, New York. Unfortunately, in trouble here. Looks like he's pulled off out of the way. His 54th start with the ARCA Series and his 5th start this year. His lone top 10 came at Berlin 1 year ago. Finished 16th a little bit earlier this year at Pocono.
And he's been on the road course before with the ARCA Racing Series. Last year he ran the road course at New Jersey, so that will bring out a full course caution here at Road America as he lowers the side net there, letting the safety personnel know that he's okay.
And Matt Tifft off the throttle there, as the guys will be able to slow down here and cool everything off just a bit, pretty much right at the halfway point here.
So this should set up a pretty interesting restart with Cindric and Tifft, as long as they don't come back into the pits, which I'm pretty sure they will not.
Well, you've got Custer and Sargent, Theriault. I mean, all those guys are going to close that huge gap back up now, and everybody's had a look at the track. They all are very comfortable with how the car is going to react. It's going to be a much different race when they throw this green flag. So let's give you our Protect Plus mid-race recap and show you what happened here in the front half of this race.
General Tire pole qualifying was rained out, so we went to practice speeds, and that put the 99 of Austin Cindric on the pole. He would lead this very impressive field to the green flag.
And, of course, everybody started off on the wet tires from General Tire. Cindric and Sargent, the class of the field here, but P.J. Jones made a brilliant move right in turn number 1 to get himself up into the mix. Then he and Sargent went at it into turn number 1. Sargent coming away with the lead there early on. P.J. into second.
A lot of teams pitted, then finally, after leading 6 laps, Dalton Sargent made his way to the pits to get 4 fresh, slick General tires, and most recently, our first caution of the day was brought out by Ed Pompa in the number 10.
This mid-race recap is brought to you by Protect Plus, the official licensee of DuPont Water and Air Filtration, and this one's certainly set up here for the back half to be very exciting.
Yeah, Austin Cindric just doing a great job, made a good call in the pits, came in, got back out very quickly, set himself up here for a great restart, though he's got that 28 of Matt Tifft alongside.
Here's a look at our points for the Bill France 4 Crown, and as you can see, Austin Theriault also leading here. He's followed closely by Sheldon Creed, just 15 points back, but Sheldon not in the field here. We'll see him again at DuQuoin the next dirt race, and then in third place is Riley Herbst.
Yeah, if you can win the Bill France 4 Crown, your name goes down in the history books. It's pretty awesome. Frank Kimmel's won it 7 times. Grant Enfinger's won it. Chris Buescher's won it. Parker Kligerman. Chase Briscoe, of course, took home the honors last year, and right now it's looking like Austin Theriault's in a good place to get it here this year.
And the 4 tracks that it involves is Nashville, the fairgrounds at Nashville. Then it was Pocono. Then our last dirt race at Springfield when we were at Illinois. And then today at the road course is the final event for the Bill France 4 Crown.
Pretty neat, a short track, a super speedway, a dirt oval, and a road course. Really what makes this ARCA Racing Series cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of championships inside of a championship. The Bill France 4 Crown is one of them. The Sioux Chief Short Track Championship is another one. The General Tire Super Speedway Championship. So if you can't run the entire season, there's still some options here to say you're an ARCA champion. Pretty cool breakdown for sure, and everybody really enjoys the diversity of the series as well. Well, Ed Pompa, unfortunately, is out of this one a little bit early. He's down there on pit road, and our Jim Trado has caught up with him. Jim?
Well, the reason for the caution, Ed Pompa's car stopped on course, and Ed, we caught you back around pit road here. What was the issue on the 10 car?
I just screwed up. I missed a shift going down into coming out of carousel. I hope I just broke the transmission. Maybe the transmission rear end, but I hope I didn't hurt the motor.
You know, Milwaukee Crusher's been your sponsor for a long time. We're in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
How do they help you benefit the Double H Ranch kids?
Monetarily, they make donations. Everybody makes donations to the ranch. They've been one of the biggest supporters for like the last 10 years. So I don't know if Dennis is here today. I got him passes, or hopefully he made it, but that's not the showing I wanted for him. Just plain screwed up.
Yeah, tough break, and tough to admit it sometimes too, but it's just the way it goes. He's been racing for a long time. I'm sure he'll be back out here with us to get it done. So we take a look at pit road. Very busy down there during this caution flag time. We'll take a quick break here, pay some bills, and we'll be right back as we get things restarted. The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, Road America 100. And we welcome you back to the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, Road America 100. Noah Gregson getting back inside of the car here. They had a fuel line issue a little bit ago. Had the hood up on that, and of course with the fuel injection on these cars it can be a pretty big issue. They are under serious pressure there, so if something was to bust or come loose, man, it is an absolute fire hose full of fuel.
Yeah, and you could see Gregson, as you mentioned, getting back in here and going to try and get this thing fired up and head back out to the racetrack. We saw Brett Holmes as we went to break in the pit area. There he is, taking, I believe, the wave around as Austin Cindric will be your leader. Matt Tift right behind him. That 78 of Cole Custer will restart in third.
And as we heard Jim Trado say a little bit earlier in the show, when Austin pitted, Brian Wilson told him he was good to go to the end, did not have to conserve, could stand on the throttle, drive it as hard as he'd like, as they try to keep some heat inside of those General tires. We talked about it before. It's about 67 degrees out here, and the humidity very, very high. So this track, even with the heat from these cars, is having a difficult time to dry out. And then, of course, we had a sporadic rain shower right in the, I'd say, the first 25%, 30% of this race, just to coat it one more time. You can see the standing water out there off of turn number 1.
We saw some of the teams come in late. Dalton Sargent, one of them, to switch over to the slicks. And if you're watching the radar and think it's going to rain, you might want to stay on the rain tires, and you're going to have definitely a leg up on the rest of the field if they're on slicks.
Let's get it down to Jim Trado. He spoke with Dalton Sargent earlier.
What are some of the nuances you know how to do that others perhaps may have to learn today during this 25-mile race, 25-lap race?
Well, everything's pretty much flip-flopped from what you would do in the dry. You're pretty much driving everywhere offline, and talking to Justin Marks, who my old boss. He almost said, you know, with these heavy stock cars, you almost over-exaggerate everything and really just do double what you would think the normal is for racing in the rain. So overall, just excited. It should be a fun race, and a lot of good guys up front that know how to race on road courses and stuff. So it's going to be an interesting race.
He has a lot of experience out here running prototype lights with the IMSA Series, finishing as high as third at Sebring. More importantly, let's talk about this year. You know, going back to Iowa, Lucas Oil Raceway, and Pocono, he was able to beat Austin Theriault at finishing, and he started to chip away at that championship. However, the last couple of events have certainly swung the other way.
Back to the high banks at Winchester Speedway, a race that Dalton Sargent probably wants to forget, one of his worst races of the season. The Cunningham Motorsports team brought a good hot rod to the high banks there, but it was not to be for that 77. Had a good car, just not the good finish.
Yeah, and then there was a big moment here as he got up into the wall. Unfortunately, collected his teammate just behind him just to make matters even worse. So Winchester just turned out to be a very tough event. You said it before, his worst finish of the year happened at Talladega with an incident there at 27th, but here he finishes 16th. It was his second worst finish of the year and a huge day in terms of points and chasing down Austin Theriault.
Yeah, Austin Theriault would end up third on the podium there. He gained 65 points in the chase for the championship over Dalton Sargent there at Winchester.
And then we go back to Illinois on the dirt there at Springfield. The mile is so much fun to watch as they put it right on the guardrail, and both, again, charging hard here. Theriault, you can see up there on the inside, but it was a 77 car who again began to struggle early on.
Yeah, both Austin Theriault and Dalton Sargent had never raced on the dirt before they got to the Springfield mile, so dirt rookies, if you will. And of course, Dalton Sargent's day going a little bit worse than Austin Theriault, as Austin Theriault would finish the day in second behind eventual winner Grant Enfinger. Enfinger coming back, the former series champion, picking up the win. Dalton Sargent, meanwhile, would finish up in 10th place. So again, losing more points in the chase for the title.
Yeah, so over the course of the last two events, that's a total of 21 positions. He fell back behind that man right there, Austin Theriault.
Yeah, a total of 125 points gained for Austin Theriault over Dalton Sargent. And if you look at Theriault this year, that car, as we've been talking about all year, Ken, it's been fast in the later stages of the race. I mean, he's not even in the top 5 for laps led this year, and he's our points leader.
Well, and that's a great point because, ironically enough, leading in the Valvoline lap leader category is Dalton Sargent. So, of all things, one doesn't necessarily equate to the other. Doesn't matter how many you lead unless you lead the important one, and that's the one right at the very end. Or certainly be up towards the front on that last lap.
One also thing to note, when Austin Theriault wins a race, Dalton Sargent has averaged a 6th place finish. When Dalton Sargent wins a race, Austin Theriault has averaged a 3.6. So that 52 is always there no matter who wins.
Come back around here through that final turn, turn number 14. Still trying to scrub some heat inside of those tires here. They head up the hill again. Austin Cindric on the pole here, looking for the green flag to start the back half of this race. 10 laps to go. Flag stand way up high here for these drivers and probably relying on their spotters to call the green. And the flagger waves that one. We are green here one more time with 10 laps to go.
Who's going to lead out of turn number 1? Will it be the 99? They're 2, almost 3 wide down this front straightaway. We've seen them go 3 wide before. It looks like Cindric is going to lead him off turn 1.
Cole Custer there in third. You also saw Womack, both of those Mason Mitchell cars right there inside of the top 5, and they do have some good cars. In fact, Cole Custer driving the same car that David Levine earned a 3rd place finish in at New Jersey last year.
You see that 52 of Austin Theriault working his way back there. Just 2 spots now behind Dalton Sargent. So as I talked about, if Dalton Sargent has a good finish, Theriault's just right there behind him, and it's tough to gain points and win a championship when the guy you're chasing always finishes either 1 spot in front of you or 1 spot behind you.
Look at everybody side by side, charging down into turn 5. It's a great passing zone as everybody is hard on the brakes. There's Cindric starting to stretch it out here just a little bit over the 28 car. And something else that's critical in this style of racing, by the way, Tifton, the 28 car, what's critical here is your ability to upshift and downshift. And typically it will take these guys, keep in mind they still have the 4-speed transmission in it. I started to tell this story before. There's no paddle shift. There's no lift shifting here with an auto cutout for the engine that allows these guys to shift very quickly. Now, you can probably pull an up gear without using the clutch, but downshifting, you're going to have to rev match. And if you can do so without using the clutch, you can save yourself a little bit of time. Now, it might not sound like much as you look at this battle right here up on the back bumper of Tiff, but if you can save yourself a 1/10 of a second every shift, under braking right there, And keep in mind, they shift 19, 20 times around here. Well, that equates to 2 seconds. And boy, what a great run. You can see right there that Cole Custer gets on Tift.
Yeah, and Tift right back underneath him there. You can just hear how much power they have coming through the kink down the back straightaway into turn number 12, as you talked about before, Canada Corner.
A little smoke there out of the back of Custer's car as well. Not sure what that was, if he had a little lockup or just what that was. But yeah, as they take a look at the data here, it'll take them, a good shift is about 0.4, 0.5 of a second. So if you give up a tenth there, it could cost you a lot of time at the end of one of these laps. Cindric trying to hold everybody off, doing a great job against the young guns out here with the ARCA Racing Series. And Austin Cindric starting to stretch it out here now. The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Road America 100. Cole Custer's been all over the back bumper of Tiff trying to get the pass made. Charges hard down here into turn number 5. Has the inside line, and he's going to get it done. And Sargent trying to follow him.
Yeah, you talked about turn 5 before. If you can outbrake someone into turn 5, it is a great place to make a pass, and he got it done there by doing just that.
Well, and you can see how soft that car is that Custer has. No doubt setting it up to roll a little bit under the wet conditions that we started off with. The Haas Automation sponsorship on the hood of that one. Talk about a great sponsor to be associated with. That's a good one. Natalie Decker, as we talked about before, in her 5th start here with the ARCA Racing Series. But her first road course out here, and boy, she just had a big moment right there. It does not take much. Keep in mind, these cars weigh 3,300 pounds. We're getting late in this race. Brakes get extremely hot here as well, and that was a late braking moment. In fact, too late, that cost her. And boy, really lucky she did not collect the car in front of her as well.
Yeah, and she told us earlier, very excited to race at this level with the ARCA Racing Series in front of course, her home state fans. She is from Wisconsin, so very happy to be here with Venturini Motorsports once again. As we said earlier, she'll be back at Kansas Speedway for the finale, but doing a great job here with the exception of that spin out.
Cole Custer there right in front of that number 88 Mason Mitchell car. And how about Womack really doing a good job here with his debut on this road course. He is hanging right there with the leaders inside of the top 5. And look at that 77 car, man. The front end way up in the air coming down the straightaway here.
Yeah, a lot of teams will bring their short track car to the road course. Switch over, as we talked about. Suspension's a lot different than they run with camber in the front end, the brake bias, as you talked about. There's so many different things that go into making a car fast when you have to turn right, especially at a place like Road America where you have to do it 10 times.
We are on board with Dalton Sargent here, and let's get it down to Jim Trader, who has more on the team.
Guys, as the laps wind down and the sun starts to appear, it's bad news for Dalton Sargent, the number 77. While he's still running 4th on the racetrack, his crew chief, Chad Bryant, wanted to bring his driver in on pit road under the first and only full course caution, but decided not to. What Chad then told me was, we gambled, we set this car up to race in the wet. We don't have a car we like right now, but we can't afford to lose track position. Sargent running 4th, doesn't think he has a car to win. If they have a chance, they may come down for one more adjustment, but Bryant said, I gambled on the wet, and I think we lost.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about at the beginning of this day. I mean, it's just so hard to tell. It could be cloudy and never rain another drop, or it could spit in the middle of the race like it did, and it kind of comes to you. And then it starts to dry up, and the setup goes away. And if you've set up a little bit banking on the dry, your car will be much, much faster, even though you're still on the slicks.
On board once again with Dalton Sargent, the big-time Ford for Cunningham Motorsports. We'll have to see how it shakes out for that 77 team.
And you can see here on the road course, that is a windshield wiper that they have set up here, planning on the rain, and it's plugged in there just ahead of that Holley EFI system.
The 4 cars going at it here. Austin Wayne Self, Brian Wong in the 41. There's P.J. Jones again in that number 27, and Riley Herbst rounding out those 4 cars, battling on track.
Yeah, that's a little quagmire right there. Them guys are fighting hard.
Yeah, that's 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th as Herbst now takes a look around the 41.
You work Riley in there, I promise you, some excitement's coming. It's on the way. That young man is Very talented and very aggressive. And he rolls up behind a seasoned veteran of P.J. Jones driving for Don Fike here this weekend.
We talked a little bit about P.J. Jones. He's ran 4 times here in the kart series. Ran here in Indy Lights, the old ALMS series as well, so has a lot of laps here at Road America and can certainly help that RFMS team to put together a good road course program for sure. It looks like right now he's going to make a move. Right to the inside of Austin Wayne Self, and he will complete the pass, so he'll take over 7th.
Yeah, Jones is runner-up, the GTP class, I should say, of the IMSA GT Championship in 1993, just to give you an idea, and 4th in 92. I mean, he's been doing this a long, long time, and those are some incredibly high-powered cars at the time as well.
Down into turn 5 on board with Herbst. Right behind the 33 of Austin Wayne Self. P.J. Jones just getting by that 33, so that's 7th, 8th, and Herbst runs in 9th.
Austin Wayne Self trying to hold on to that number 33 car, driving for Kevin Sawinski here this weekend. Finished as high as 2nd in the points to Grant Enfinger 2015. So a talented young man for sure, but here comes Riley Herbst underneath him. And again, that could be a setup of a little more dry versus a little more wet. And I said you couldn't pass around the outside of the carousel, but Riley Herbst is going to prove me wrong right here.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the place you want to try and make a pass, but if you can't make it stick there, coming out of 8, going into 9th in the carousel, you just kind of have to keep your foot down and hope it does stick, and that's what happened for Herbst, and he did make it stick.
Yeah, through the kink they go there.
Well, you could tell Riley Herbst really attacks every single corner here on this racetrack.
Well, and how exciting has he been? I mean, all year long, of course, picking up his first career ARCA win at Pocono a little bit earlier in the year, but has had a number of really good races here throughout the entire season for sure, as we talked about before, in the hunt for rookie points as well. A win, 5 top 5, 7 top 10s in his 13 starts. Was not able to start at Daytona at the beginning of the year because he wasn't 18 yet. And back up to the point we go to look at that number 99 car. What a beautiful piece of machinery that is, driving for Cunningham.
Yeah, and as you watch Austin Cindric, his approach to this racetrack a little bit different maybe than someone like Riley Herbst. You'll hear road course racers say that usually a smooth, steady, calculated, fast pace will result in better lap times, unlike maybe an oval where you really attack the corner and drive it hard through the corner. You can hurt yourself here. If you're not good on entry, it'll hurt your exit and maybe hurt your setup for the next corner on a road course.
And Austin, no doubt, displaying his road racing skills, his good shifting abilities. It is very difficult to brake hard. For example, coming into turn number 5, hard on the brakes, and then rev match, you're basically heel towing, and that's the terminology where they'll roll their foot over, and they might not use their heel, but they'll roll the right side of their foot over and blip that throttle so that they can downshift. Well, it makes it very difficult to blip the throttle, stand on the brakes at the same time as hard as absolutely possible without locking up the tires. It's a difficult task, and you have to be perfect at it. And Austin Wayne Self gets turned around.
That is Brian Wong on board with the 41 for MDM. And it looked like he just poked his nose to the inside of Austin Wayne Self, and as a 33 trying to make that corner.
Yeah, a nasty move right there. I mean, that is certainly one that will be looked at by the teammates, and quite possibly when Austin Wayne Self gets out of that car, he'll have a few words for him. So it goes, man. It is on here as we get close to the end of this one here with the ARCA Racing Series Road America 100. And back once again on board here. You're right around Road America with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. This is the Road America 100. And Noah Gregson, who has just had a tough day here today. You can see him put it in neutral. And coasting down here into the right-hander, plops it back into gear. And just slowly working his way back around to pit road.
Yeah, certainly a tough day for Gragson there in that number 15 car. Meanwhile, we go back to Matt Tifft in the 28. Had to go to the tail of the field after originally scheduled to start off the front row. Currently runs in third right behind Cole Custer in the 78.
Cole Custer, as we talked about before, extremely good. Currently sixth in the NASCAR Xfinity points as you go on board here with Matt Tifft. And Matt Tifft trying to get back around him.
Yeah, both these drivers have raced road courses before with the ARCA Racing Series. Tifft ran third in New Jersey for Kenny Schrader back in 2014. 2 years ago, Custer was fifth at New Jersey.
Yeah, both of these young guns have been right on the pipe all day long, battling with each other. Take a look at that 78 car as well. Custer making his ARCA debut at New Jersey Motorsports Park and earned the pole that day and finished in fifth. So a good effort for sure, proving he is certainly capable of whipping one of these things around.
Now that we have the sun out, you can see just how green and how beautiful this facility really is as we go on board with Bo Lamastis. We talked about earlier, he was one of the three drivers that ran with the ARCA Racing Series back in 2013, and now he gets sideways.
So a bit of a moment here for Bo. Fires it back up, gets it turned around, get it righted, and hopefully everybody's able to miss him along the way.
Yeah, he's in that Venturini Motorsports number 55. He'll be back in that car at Salem.
Yeah, the Crosley brand is certainly a very cool brand as well. He is CEO of the Crosley brands. As you take a look at him right there. And
saw Natalie Decker go around the outside off the race course to miss Bo Lamastis. Meanwhile, here's that battle once again as you go on board with third place, Matt Tifft right behind Custer.
So an incident about that, another unique thing to road racing is they will have a local caution. They won't throw a full course caution, and wow, a big moment for Cole Custer right there, and it's going to cost him a spot. But yeah, they'll have a local yellow. They won't throw a full course caution here. And especially if the car like Bo Lamastis is able to get righted and get going once again, and then they'll pull that yellow back in to that particular area.
Yeah, Matt Tifft getting around Cole Custer after Custer made the mistake there. So put Tifft into second place as they drive around the 94 of Dick Karth. I mentioned three drivers ran here in 2013. Dick Karth was here that year, just did not start the race.
On board once again with Cole Custer. In his third ARCA start at 18 years old, Custer won at Pocono, becoming the youngest Super Speedway winner in ARCA history, the youngest to win a NASCAR Pro Series East race, and a NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, and the youngest pole sitter in the Truck Series as well. Pretty impressive, to say the least. And as we talked about before, racing in that car that finished third at New Jersey a year ago for Mason Mitchell.
Back into turn 14 down the front straightaway. We'll try and gather that thing back up. You see Cindric go by. Back up front with our leader. Pretty much the class of the field to this point. Austin Cindric doing a great job. And now Thomas Prater losing something off the car.
Huge piece of debris there off of the number 9 car. And everybody's going to have to steer around it if they know it's there.
I mean, it almost hit Cindric, almost drove right into it.
And he doesn't see it. Oh, last second.
I think that was Michael Womack.
Womack, yeah, trying to dodge that thing. It is laying right in the racing surface, and immediately they're going to throw a debris flag, and P.J. Jones nearly drives right over it. Or no, that was Austin Theriault, actually.
Let's take another look at what happened here. This is on board with Cindric, right in the middle of your screen there. Here it comes.
Wow. Eyes up, as they say.
Yeah, coming off, I believe, the right rear quarter, possibly the back of the race car as well. One more time.
Again. A big piece of body panel, whatever it is.
Going down the freeway and someone's hood comes flying at you.
Fortunately, it looks like everybody was able to steer around it.
So that's going to set up One heck of a restart here as the full course caution comes out. Austin Cindric, still your leader.
So they get everybody regrouped here, and of course that debris picked up off the track. While they do that, let's take you back and show you some of the first wins of the 2017 season. Some of them were first career wins with the ARCA Racing Series. And of course we'll start off with the 52 car of Austin Theriault driving for Kenny Schrader this year as he picked up a win at Daytona.
We move over to Fairgrounds Speedway in Nashville. First win of the year for Chad Finley. His first career ARCA Racing Series win at that short track.
Then it was the third race of the season at Salem, the short track there, and Dalton Sargent stood on top of the box there for the first time in 2017.
Justin Haley picked up his first win of 2017 at the big Talladega Super Speedway in the number 28 car. Then, of course, Harrison Burton got his first career ARCA win at Toledo earlier this year as well.
Riley Herbst would follow that effort and pick up his first career win with the ARCA Racing Series at Pocono, the Tricky Triangle.
Brandon Jones would get it done at Michigan International Speedway, picking up his first win of 2017 in convincing fashion.
And just one event ago on the dirt at the Springfield Mile, it was a 2015 champ, Grant Enfinger, who came out here and grabbed a win.
Can Cindric be the next one? So far, it's looking that way in that 99.
Or it could be the 28 of Tift. You know, I mean, there's some players back in there. It could be the 78 right behind him of Cole Custer. So the first three there would be their first win of the 2017 season here with the ARCA Racing Series.
Yeah, Michael Womack there sitting, I believe, fifth, maybe sixth in his first career ever ARCA race.
What a great day for him.
Yeah, maybe he could put something together on this restart here. It looks like Dalton Sargent may be coming to the pits.
Yeah, we heard him say they might bring him in one more time, maybe a quick adjustment. Maybe they'll take 2 tires here. Keep in mind there's only 4 left-hand turns on this track of a 14-turn track, so that's 10 right-handers, so maybe 2 lefts. They do have 6 slicks in the box, and if it stayed raining here today, they had an extra 4 wets as well. Let's get it down to Jim Trado to call all the action.
Dalton Sargent gets the wish of a change in how the car is handling. He brings in the big-time Ford. Crew Chief Chad Bryant has called for a chassis adjustment and 2 left-side tires. So they're using all 6 of their tires. You may ask why they're changing left sides, not rights. There's more right-hand turns on this race course than left. So the 7017, the big-time Ford, changing 2 left-side tires and making a drastic chassis adjustment for the driver giving up 4th position. They feel there's enough time left to gain spots on the racetrack with a much better handling race car. Now under the right side of the car, no tire change there, but a chassis adjustment by a crew member. Jack stand in place, working on the right rear shock, it appears, trying to get that car a better handling car, a happier car for Sargent.
And certainly making a chassis adjustment as you saw him laying underneath that right rear. We'll find out if it pays off. It's a huge gamble. Keep in mind, it's going to be a green-white at the same time when we come back, and then the checker. So he's only going to have 1 lap to get by a pile of people. Stay with us. We'll see if it works. This is the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards Road America 100. As we said, ARCA has been road racing since 1958. Since then, the ARCA has staged 21 road course races over the years. This is number 22. If you go back to Heartland Park Road Course in Topeka, Kansas, that hosted 2 of them, well, in the 90s, it was Kenny Schrader who won from the pole. August 2nd, and then in 1991, NASCAR champ Darrell Waltrip won the 121-lap race. So this series is rich with its road course debuts as well. Great to see him come out here and just throw a little something at them. And these racers are certainly proving they have the talent to turn both right and left. Well, we saw Dalton Sargent come in here just before we went to break. He's going to be in the back of the pack here at the tail end of the cars on the lead lap. Boy, he's going to have a long way to go. Pace car pulls off as they scrub those tires in and roll up the hill here one more time.
The race to turn number 1. Austin Cindric, Matt Tifft. who will have the lead coming off turn number 1 on this final restart.
Yeah, and this straightaway is long enough after the start finish that the guys in the second and third row, well, they're in the draft, and they get a bit of an advantage before you get to turn number 1, so it can easily go 3 wide, and everybody knows the tail.
I say final restart. It may not be the final restart as we get set to go green.
And Cindric on the gas. Oh, look it in there by the wall. I just saw the nose of that Cunningham car stick out. I think that was Sargent right down there by the wall who got a huge jump. Cindric with a great start here.
Cole Custer right behind him is now. He'll take a look to the inside. Turn 1, they touch.
He blows smoke off the front tires and blows turn number 1, takes Austin Cindric with him. Austin is going to be livid, and Cole Custer with a huge mistake gets back on the track.
Yeah, Custer does get back on the racetrack very quickly, though he does fall to the tail of the field. Meanwhile, Cindric still trying to get that 99 turned around and get back on course.
Yeah, I think that's the only person that Cole did get around. And take a look at this. Are you kidding me? The 77 car of Dalton Sargent is leading this race from, I believe he restarted in 14th place and then blows turn 5.
Sargent off the race course, tiffed, nowhere to go in the 28, so 1-2 gets taken out. 1-2 gets taken out again, and now it looks like Austin Theriault is our leader on course.
Henriksen also got into tiff, so tore his car up back there, and you've got to be kidding me. How does the 52 car, has not been in the top 5 all day long, end up leading on the last lap? Sometimes it's just a magical season for you. One thing I can promise you is he won't make any mistakes.
Riley Herbst to second. Now Dalton Sargent, who fell back to third there, able to get back on the race course in third, finds himself right behind Riley Herbst. He's got P.J. Jones behind him running fourth.
And you can see that left rear fender for Dalton Sargent sticking way out there like a parachute. It's going to be very difficult here in this high-speed section to really make up some ground. Riley Herbst right there in front of him. Look at that hood start to shake as he gets up in that low-pressure area off the spoiler, and there's a move right there. Beautiful job out of Dalton Sargent. Just those 2 good tires on there, but no, he blows the brake zone again.
And this could allow P.J. Jones to get by, and it looks like Jones will be able to get by the 77 or not. They go side by side for the third spot.
Sargent fighting hard, all the while the 52 car owned by Kenny Schrader, driven by Austin Theriault through the final turn with a huge gap, is going to come up here and grab yet another win. An amazing effort here for the 52 car. Austin Theriault's 4th win on the season and stretches the points out after a crazy last lap shootout.
And P.J. Jones does edge Dalton Sargent for the final podium spot and comes home third for that RFMS Racing 2017.
And we're actually hearing on the radio now that crossing the line in 4th is Dalton Sargent, but will be penalized 4 spots for jumping the start. He was penalized as many spots as he passed before the green flag was thrown here at the finish line. Austin Cindric somehow ends up in 6th place. But no doubt a dejected 6th place as we go on board with him. And there's a pretty good chance he might be trying to hunt down Cole Custer.
Yeah, I think he's probably asking his team, where is the 78 car? And it looks like the 28 stopped on the racetrack. That is Matt Tifft.
Yeah, remember he got into Dalton Sargent when they blew turn number 5, and then the 75 car also got into Tifft, as we saw that before. So A.J. Henriksen with a lot of damage on that 75 car. So stay with us. We'll get it all sorted out. When we come back, we'll talk to our winner for sure here at the ARCA Racing Series.
The ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards, is brought to you by Hers Potato Chips. Hers, forever good. Protect Plus, official licensee of DuPont Air and Water Filtration. Lucas Oil, made in America, sold to the world.
It was a crazy last lap, and there's a little retaliation as the 99 car of Cindric has caught up with Cole Custer here with the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards Road America 100. The 99 car of Cindric was leading this race and looked dominant. Cole Custer with a massive mistake in turn number 1, blowing smoke off of both front tires, took himself and Cindric out right along with him. Here's a look at the restart.
Cindric in the 99, the yellow car. 1 lap dash. Here comes Custer peeking to the inside. Obviously no real estate to grab there, and gets into the right rear of Cindric and turns him around.
Yeah, a big moment for sure, and no doubt a very frustrated Austin Cindric. We go on board with Custer. Comes up on the inside, and might have been a little bit damp down there on the inside of 1, but nonetheless, it is the guy's responsibility that is behind to stay out of the guy that's in front, and he certainly did not do that.
Yeah, we'll see a shot here. This is on board with Austin Cindric. Going down into turn 1, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah, and Austin had such a great car, and of course that's a risk you run every time you have a restart out here. You just never really know how they're going to go, especially with such a high-speed turn number 1. All said and done, though, our points leader comes out of this one smelling like a rose. Once again, man, when it's your season, it is your season. And the Bill France 4-crown champ peels off and heads over to the winner's circle.
So here's a look at the replay. What happened to Dalton Sargent after Cindric got wiped out. Sargent blows the braking zone in turn 5, takes Matt Tifft, who had nowhere to go with him. Sargent was able to get back on course, but did watch the 52 drive right by him.
Then Hendrickson unfortunately had no place to go. He wipes off the front end of the 28 car for Tifft. As we go on board with Tifft, you can see it here, smoke off the front tires there. And Tifft just no place to go.
Then it looked like the 41 of Brian Wong helps right there, helps A.J. Hendrickson get into the front of Matt Tifft. Here's one more look at it on board with Dalton Sargent.
Just came in a little bit too hot and couldn't get the car rotated. What a shame. Of course, he had that amazing start. In fact, a little too good of a start as he got docked 4 positions and almost got into the back of Riley Herbst right there.
How about Austin Theriault? Wins the GT Pole Award. First time at the Springfield Mile on the dirt. Shows up here to Road America. First time on a road course and picks up the win. Let's get it down to Victory Lane and Jim Trado.
Austin Theriault has won his 4th race of the season. And in fitting Wisconsin fashion, Dick Trickle, the famous Wisconsin short tracker, said, to finish first, you must first finish. And Austin Theriault did both. Phil Dye, the car chief, is here. Smiles abound. What a challenging weekend for you. What did you learn in not only winning this race, but winning the the Bill France 4-crown championship?
Man, this is awesome. Short track racer comes road course racing and stays out of trouble, and we just ran our own race. Before the caution came out, I saw them pulling away from us, and I was like, well, you know, here's where we're gonna run today. And then the caution came out, and then I knew somebody was gonna wreck down in turn 1, and I just hope it wasn't us, man. What an awesome day! This is a new car. We struggled with it, you know, getting the kinks worked out of it, but they worked so hard, you know, nights, midnight, you know, multiple days to get this car ready. So, man, these General tires were awesome too. We didn't have any issues, and the rain tires worked good too. But once we put the slicks on, the grip came to us. So I don't know. Oh, it hasn't quite set in yet.
Yeah, what a great run for Austin as well. How about Riley Herbst, again stepping up here right at the very end. P.J. Jones stays out of trouble and finds himself in a podium position there in the top 3. Dalton Sargent will be docked down to 8th place.
Yeah, tough day, tough weekend for Dalton Sargent in the chase for this national championship. I mean, it's going to be very tough, if not impossible, to reel in. Austin Theriault has just been so good as of late. Meanwhile, Riley Herbst had a good run. He comes home 2nd in his road course debut, and he's with Jim Trado.
Riley Herbst, you had anticipated today for a long time, and you told me before the race it feels really cool to be on a track like this. Take us through your 2nd place run at Road America.
It was up and down, to say the least, but we started out with the General Tire wets on. I think that was the wrong decision. We should have went with our gut and started with the slicks. We were riding 5th and 6th before, and then like lap 3, we got moved out of the way in 5. We got all the way to the start in the rear. Then we had to work all the way up to 7th. Rode there for a little bit. Then under fuel saving and caution, the car shut off again, an ignition problem. So we had to work our way all the way back to the end. And then I think we had a 5th or 4th place car there. I don't think we would have had a 2nd place car except for the things that happened on the last lap. But to say the least, it was a good day for our NOS Energy Drink Toyota Camry. And I can't thank everybody back at the shop. They're working really hard. We've had some down weeks these last couple of weeks, and we're really looking forward to Salem in these mile and a halves.
And Riley's certainly a young town. He spent a lot of time at the Bob Bondurant School of High Performance Driving, testing, getting himself up to speed, and came out here and put it all to work. We'll be right back. We have more to cover. Stay with us.
The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards has been brought to you by General Tire. Anywhere is possible. Sioux Chief, America's manufacturer of plumbing, drainage, supply, and support products. Lucas Oil, made in America, sold to the world.
Welcome back to the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. Road America 100. What a crazy race it ended up being, especially with a one-lap shootout. All said and done, the number 52 car somehow squeaks out a win. But instead of talking about it, let's show you this courtesy of our race recap. Austin Cindric with the number 99 car driving for the Cunningham team. Off to a great start.
Yeah, General Tire pole qualifying was rained out, so they went off practice speeds, and that put Cindric on the pole. He would lead early, but then fall back and hand lead over to Dalton Sargent in the 77, but his day was busy, to say the least.
Dalton Sargent comes in and finally puts on the slicks. He stayed out the longest on those General Tire wets. The 99 car had also pitted and taken on slicks and got the call from crew chief Brian Wilson to run it hard to the end. Well, run it hard to the end he did on this restart, but Cole Custer overdrove turn 1 and took him out. And then it was Dalton Sargent who had taken over the lead, blows turn number 5, and collects Matt Tift. Through all that chaos, somehow Austin Theriault in that 52 car slides in to pick up win number 4.
And right at the stripe, P.J. Jones in that number 27 car ends up in the 3rd spot, making his ARCA debut here today with the RFMS number 27 team. Great effort for P.J. Jones. He's with Jim.
P.J. Jones making an ARCA debut at a track that I know you've got a lot of laps on. You overcame what was a fuel shortage, if you will, to run 3rd. Take us through your day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we got a good start and just was camped out in 2nd when we all had the rain tires on. And we thought we'd need to run to a certain lap to get to our fuel window, but when it came in and put the dries on, we didn't get all the fuel in it. And so went back out, just cruising, and they said, hey, we got to come back in. And so came back in on the yellow, and, had a pretty decent car. I had a 5th, 6th place car, but trying to get back into the track position that we lost. And then on the last restart, I just didn't get a good restart. Spun the tires a little bit, and I was stuck on the outside, which where all the action was. So Theriault, he started right beside me and wins the race. So it was good, though. We had a great time, a lot of fun, and I was happy the Fikes let me drive it.
Great run for P.J. Jones. Here's a look at our national points. Austin Theriault now with a 270-point gap over Dalton Sargent. Shane Lee has worked his way back up into 3rd place. Gus Dean with a solid 4th place, rocking this entire season. Riley Herbst, who was as high as 3rd, has fallen back down to 5th after a tough round there at the Springfield Mile. Let's get it back down to Jim Trado. He is with Dalton Sargent.
Dalton Sargent, you came with a ton of confidence and a setup that would have worked had it stayed a little wetter on the racetrack. Take us through what you guys ultimately decided to pit late and run back to top 5.
Yeah, initially we had a really good start, and we were able to open up the lead pretty big. And I was kind of hoping that the rain would come. We tried to wait it out a little too long, I think, on our rain tires. And when we came back in to put slicks on, it was a little bit too late, and I think we were running just inside the top 5. So I took a gamble there at the end to come down and pit again, restarted in 15th, and was able to get back up to the lead, and had to run through some water and didn't get the tires warm enough, and unfortunately kind of slid off the track a little bit. But overall, we had just a really strong 77 big time forward. I wish that it had rained, because we were definitely more set up for it to go that way. But at the end of the day, we gave it our best shot. It was a pretty crazy race and just a lot of fun. I wish that I could go back and do it one more time.
Let's go back and relive that turn 14 to the finish line drag race with P.J. Jones for 3rd.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I think we actually had about a 3-corner battle kind of going on who was on the inside, who was on the outside, kind of beating and banging and drag racing all the way to the finish. So that was something that was pretty cool. But, at the end of the day, I just, wish that we could have got a little bit better finish there had I not, drove off the track a little bit on that final lap.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Make sure you never miss a race. Go to mavtv.com/set reminder. You can sign up to get notifications on your phone so you'll never miss an ARCA Racing Series event here on MAVTV.
So the Kenny Schrader team doing a great job once again in Austin, Ontario, crossing the stripe first for the 4th time this year. 12 top 5s and 15 top 10s and 15 starts. What an incredible season he has working. So the 15th race in the books out of the 20-race season here, and one of our championships already over. Congrats to Austin, Ontario for winning the Bill France 4-Crown Championship as well. Hope you enjoyed all the great racing action here from the lone road course that we go to all year long. It was certainly a lot of fun to bring it to you. For Jim Trado and Rob Klepper, I'm Ken Stout. Thanks for watching the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards.